let me invite you to reflect on a particular passage of our gospel reading today. And the passage is at the end of our gospel. It says, "Whoever wishes to save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life for my sake and that of the gospel will save it." Dr. Paul Wilson Brand was a pioneer missionary surgeon who wrote series of books connecting Christian faith and medicine. Working with lepers in India, he was the first surgeon to use reconstructive surgery to connect deformities caused by leprosy in the hands and feet. Before Dr. Brand, it was widely believed that those suffering from leprosy lost their fingers and feet because of rotting flesh. Instead, Dr. Brand discovered such deformities were due to the loss of ability to feel pain. Without the protection of pain, leprosy patients were destroying themselves. For example, they would walk long distances with shards or a piece of broken earthenware or nails, attached or implanted in their feet. And thus, without being aware of this, would seriously damage the tissues and muscles of their limbs. Hence, the eventual loss of toes and feet. With treatment and care, he showed victims of the disease could go indefinitely without such deformities. It was on this issue that Dr. Brand's work with leprosy met with his theological reflections on what he believed as the most problematic aspect of creation. And the most problematic aspect of creation is the existence of pain. Pain, Brand believed, was not opposed to life, but requisite for it. In fact, at one point, he wrote, God destined, the human body so that it is able to survive because of pain. And not surprisingly, the title of one of his books is Pain, the Gift Nobody Wants. It was published in 1993. Now, in today's gospel reading, we see Peter's reaction when Jesus has announced that he will soon suffer and die. This suffering and death will be Jesus' gift to humankind, the means to bring humankind back to God. Well, as the gospel goes, Peter certainly does not want that gift and expresses his rejection of it in vehement terms. Obviously, he does not understand that the Messiah, the anointed king promised by the prophets, the royal descendant of David, can be a suffering figure, and that suffering can have a positive role to play in humankind's destiny. I believe many of us would probably have reacted in the same way if we have been in Peter's shoes. Suffering is the gift few people want. That is because few people have clear ideas on the topic of suffering. And our own modern culture, with its emphasis on ease and comfort, does not help to clarify our ideas. Yet the whole issue of human suffering becomes greatly simplified and more easily understandable if we make the following basic distinction. There are fundamentally two kinds of suffering: the good kind of suffering and the bad kind of suffering. Just like when you distinguish cholesterol and fats. So let us, explore this distinction a little bit further. No. First, the bad kind of suffering. This refers to unnecessary suffering, namely all suffering that results from the choices we make out of our selfishness, out of our greed, out of our uncontrollable lust, out of cowardice, out of sloth, and so on. For example, I get lung cancer because I smoke too much. I suffer indigestion because I ate too much. I break up a family because I gave in to my adulterous impulses. I contract a tooth infection because I was too coward to go to the dentist. I dropped out of college because I am lazy to study. I lose my job because I lied in my resume, and so on. Bad kind of suffering. The second is the good kind of suffering. This refers to necessary suffering. For example, the suffering involved in growing up, in facing my limitations, in admitting my mistakes, in curbing my hot temper, in controlling my lust, in struggling with a problem, in sharing someone else's suffering, in taking on a normal responsibility, in accepting reality as it is, in giving up a harmful habit, and so on. Good kind of suffering. In this gospel passage, Jesus is speaking of the necessary suffering involved in his own destiny and in the destiny of anybody who wants to live humanly. That is to accept to lose one's life, that is face necessary suffering, in order to find it, and that is know the fulfillment and happiness. If we do not listen to Jesus, we will still experience suffering, that is the unnecessary kind, and moreover, be unhappy for the rest of our lives. If we listen to him, we will experience some suffering, which is the necessary kind of suffering, but we will know happiness. For despite the fact that modern culture denies it, happiness and suffering are perfectly compatible. Millions of people could attest to it. And so, my dear brothers and sisters, our gospel message today is simple, and that is, when we embrace our crosses freely and willingly, instead of hiding from them, we grow as persons and experience the peace that Jesus promised to his followers. As Jesus once said in the other gospel, I have come so that you may have life and have it more abundantly. God bless each and every one.